people's lives are at stake.
Hmm.
It's an intimidating job, but it's so rewarding and it's so enjoyable, and the people are amazing. And when I fell asleep, I hit the center divider, and I
Okay.
didn't have my seatbelt on, so I got ejected from my car. But I got ejected out of my door. There's healthcare professionals in wheelchairs all over the place.
Hmm.
Yeah, I told him I think you'll be surprised how much I can do.
Attention, attention. Code trauma. Here.
Hey everyone, welcome and thanks for tuning in to Allied Health Mentors. My name's Eddie, and today I'm sitting down with Alyssa Shelby. Alyssa is a certified phlebotomy technician or phlebotomist, but she is not here in the state of California where I am. Alyssa is actually in Montana. Now, this is very exciting because this is the first time that Allied Health Mentors has gone cross country. And if you haven't watched us before, Allied Health Mentors is a channel and a platform for allied health professionals to kind of highlight what they do, who they are, and the importance that we have in this healthcare field. And so that's why I'm sitting down here with Alyssa Shelby today. Alyssa, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
How's Montana? How's the weather out there?
It's cold. It's
It's
cold,
cold.
but it's not snowing, which
Does
is disappointing because I love the snow.
does it snow a lot in Montana? I've never been to Montana, so I'm not sure.
It snows a lot. It does. It snows a lot. It just kind of depends on where you are. Where I'm at, I'm kind of in a banana belt, so it doesn't snow too much here.
Hmm.
Um, the clouds will come in and kind of dump in those mountains around me, and then by the time they reach over to me, they're all out of snow. So
Awesome.
unfortunately, we don't get as much snow as other areas of Montana.
Yeah. And Alyssa, we were talking a little bit, and you are originally from California, right? Or
Yeah.
you spent some time here in California. Now you live in Montana. Do you miss California? Is there a hole in your heart for California?
You know what? Yes and no. I really do love it here.
Uh,
But I was born and raised in California, so I do miss my friends. I miss the beach. I miss the
yeah.
food. But I love it here too. So it's kind of hard. I'm pulled both ways.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever have any aspirations to come back to California?
I don't think I'll ever live in California again, honestly.
Okay. Interesting.
Um, I really do like living in Montana. I think there's a lot more opportunity here.
Awesome. And I've said that a lot too because California, I do feel is very populated. I feel like it's very expensive here.
Mhm.
And if I had the opportunity to move out of state, I think I would take it. So I applaud you for keeping an open mind. Because
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot, like you said, there's tons of opportunity. Where you are a certified phlebotomy technician, you are a phlebotomist in Montana, but there is a reason why you left California, which we're going to talk about, why you made that move, where you are now, and how you've progressed. Can you give us a background of who you are, why you moved to Montana, and just kind of an introduction of yourself?
Well, when I was living in California, I was living a totally different life than I am now.
Mhm.
I partied all the time. I was always out with my friends, drinking, um, just not really going anywhere. So I had actually just got a management job at a restaurant, um, and I was working a lot. I was working like 10 in the morning to 10 at night, or 9 in the morning until 10, 11 at night. It was a crazy schedule. I was there all the time.
Mhm.
And I was on my way home from work after I went out and had dinner with some friends, and I fell asleep. And I was on the freeway
Wow.
in California
Okay.
trying to get home. So I'm going a good speed.
Yeah.
And when I fell asleep, I hit the center divider, and I
Okay.
didn't have my seatbelt on, so I got ejected from my car. But I got ejected out of my door,
Oh wow.
and I broke my back. I broke my T12 vertebrae, and I actually broke it so bad that I damaged my spinal cord. So I was instantly paralyzed from the waist down, and I had emergency surgery to fix those broken vertebrae in my spine.
Mhm.
And I also broke my left wrist, so I had to have surgery on that. Um, and that completely changed my life. I mean, my life did a complete 180 that night. And I'm laughing now, but
Yeah.
it was it was horrible. I mean, it was truly the worst day of my life, but I can't say it's been uphill from there, but it's been a roller coaster. But I'm definitely I'm on the other side now, and I'm way happier of a person than I was before I got in my accident.
And that's, so if you're wondering how I found Alyssa or how we connected, trying to promote Allied Health Mentor, I was searching hashtags and Instagram posts, and I came across Alyssa, and I noticed she was in scrubs, and that's the first thing I noticed. And so I clicked on it, and I was like, oh, who's this? But then I started reading the caption of that post that you put up not too long ago. It was a couple of days ago, which kind of described that you're 2 years out of your accident and that you are paralyzed from the waist down, but you've managed to come on top. You've had great recovery, and now you work as a phlebotomist in a is it a outpatient lab or is it a medical center?
It's a hospital.
Okay.
But since I haven't worked there for too long, I'm mainly just in the outpatient lab.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's kind of where I've started.
Awesome. And what I love, we've only known each other briefly, but what I love about your attitude and just getting a feel of the kind of person you are is that you put in your post that you're still going to school and that you're going on to become an MLT, that's what you want to do. If you don't know out there, MLT stands for medical lab technician. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they help people in the lab. And I think that's awesome that you're persevering and that you're also bringing awareness to spinal cord injuries. And after your accident, how did you connect to this community of individuals who are also professionals who still have lives to carry on, but they carry on with the spinal cord injury? How did you connect with that community?
You know what? Honestly, when I first got hurt, right when I got home, I had in-home occupational therapy. Since I broke my wrist, I had to have special hand therapy to get my hand all stretched out and strong again. And that occupational therapist that I had, he was amazing. He made a big impact on my life. And I was just, he came one day and I was just not having a good day. And he said, you know what, you need to talk to other people who are going through what you're going through. Because when you have if you break your leg, you can Google, I broke my leg, how long does it take for a bone to heal?
Yeah.
But when you have a spinal cord injury, there's not very many people in the world who have spinal cord injuries. I think in the US, there's like 250,000 people living with spinal cord injuries.
Wow.
I mean, that's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
So he just told me, you need to get involved. You need to start talking to people who are going through this too. So he put me in touch with a guy who also had a spinal cord injury. And he talked to me on the phone for a couple hours and he told me, just go on, you have Instagram, go on Instagram, search hashtag spinal cord injury. There's people out there who, just like you, who their life isn't over. So that's what I did. And I've met so many amazing people who are doing more with their life than people that I left behind in California.
That's awesome. And so you moved back. How long after your accident did you move back to Montana with your parents?
Let me see, November, December, about 6 months after my accident.
6 months. Okay. And so you're living with your parents. I'm sure your parents are a big help for you. Or how independent are you able to be, in your daily routine?
Oh, I'm totally independent. The only thing that I haven't quite started doing yet is driving, but that's next on the list.
Awesome.
It's taken a while to find a car that I was able to get my wheelchair in and out of, and then find somewhere that installs hand controls and all that. So I'm going to start driving in the spring after.
Very cool.
After winter's over.
Awesome. So do you have to take like a driving course? Is there like a whole separate, did someone teach you how to drive using hand controls, or how is that going to work?
You can do it however you want. If you want to just get your hand controls installed and teach yourself, on some back road, I guess you can do that. But they also have driving courses.
Awesome.
You just have to take your driving test at the DMV with the hand controls before you can get your license that says that you drive with hand controls.
Awesome. So now you're a busy woman, because you're in school, you have physical therapy, and you have a career that's going on. How do you fit physical therapy into all that? between school? Well, school must be online, right? But physical therapy, you have to go somewhere. Does someone come to you?
Yeah. Yeah. I try my best to go 3 days a week, and I'm actually super blessed. I go to physical therapy at the hospital that I work at,
Oh, okay.
and they're awesome. I mean, if I get called in and I call them and say, hey, I can't come today, is there any openings tomorrow? They try their best to fit me in.
So that's a great segue into your career. Is that how you got in touch with the hospital? Did that have any part of you applying for the phlebotomy position in your hospital?
You know what? It kind of did. It's kind of funny. Ever since I was little, usually little kids, when they go to a hospital, they're kind of creeped out and they don't like it and they're scared. I always thought hospitals were so cool.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so awesome that, everybody walked around in their scrubs and all the machines. I wanted to know what everything did. So I've always seen myself working at a hospital. But the fact that I go to that hospital for so many things really did help.
Awesome. Yeah. When I was growing up, my mom's a nurse. She's still a nurse. So I used to have appointments and I would get my blood drawn a lot. And so I'd go with her. And so I'd walk around the campus of the hospital and just, like you said, see people with scrubs. So I can definitely relate to that. And then I'm sure that has had a big part of me pursuing a career in the medical field, which it has for you as well. And so in applying to this, when you decided, okay, I'm going to because you were certified in California, you said you had difficulty finding a job here, and then you reconnected with phlebotomy in Montana. What's it like to get a job in Montana? Do you have to have a phlebotomy license through the state, or is it just your national cert? Did you have to redo a program? What did you have to go through to get certified?
You don't have to technically be certified in Montana to get a job.
Okay.
But if you're going to work at a hospital or any type of like lab corp or, any type of big labs like that, you have to be certified. So I did. I took I think it was a 12-week class. It was either 12 or 6. I don't even remember anymore. It wasn't too bad though. And I got recertified through the state. Yeah.
Awesome. And so when you applied, being that you do have this disability, this physical disability now, did you have to disclose that? Did it come up in your interview? How did you go about doing that?
So again, I got pretty lucky. My phlebotomy instructor who taught the class, she actually works at the hospital too.
Oh, okay.
So she really liked me, and I kind of, I told her I've been certified before. I'm getting recertified, but it's been a long time, so I'm going to be rusty.
Yeah.
But she actually had me, since it was just her, help teach some of the other students, which was really cool.
Nice.
Because you kind of know what to look for when someone's drawing your blood. And don't maybe do it this way, or try doing it this way next time, or it'll be easier to keep the vein down if you anchor it like this. So that was actually a super, super cool experience also. But she was the one who helped me get the job at the hospital. But I was kind of surprised when I had my interview. They told me that they had been considering me for a while, but they didn't know how I would do in my wheelchair. So I had to kind of tell them, there's healthcare professionals in wheelchairs all over the place. I told them I think you'll be surprised how much I can do.
Wow. I'm glad that you brought that up, that you knew your phlebotomy instructor who now works in the hospital where you work, because I think it's important for any healthcare professional or anyone trying to get into healthcare is to network, right? You have to create a network of people and professionals that do what you want to do, and then you'll come out on top. It'll make it that much easier for you to find a job. When you were in California, did you try to network at all? Do you feel like your approach of getting a job in Montana was different from what you were trying to do in California?
Absolutely. Definitely. And I just think that, I was so much younger. I had such a different mindset than I do now. And obviously, I'm a lot more professional and mature than I was then. So I think that had a lot to do with it. But I also think that opportunity kind of just fell into my lap at the same time.
That's great. And so you work in an outpatient setting. How is that? Because personally, the draw station I work in, it's pretty small. So when I have patients who are wheelchair bound or in walkers, sometimes it's difficult for them to get, around the desk that I have, into the draw chair. for you, are you able to move pretty swiftly around your lab? Did they have to switch things around? Did they take your input into consideration when reconfiguring the lab for you? How did that come about?
They did. The director of the lab, she was awesome. The first day that I shadowed, she asked me at the end of the day if there was anything that was in my way, and she wanted to be sure that everything was as accessible as possible. The only thing that I really had to move around a little bit was the draw chair, just so I can get on both sides of it. Okay. And then just making sure that all the tubes are where I can reach them. Awesome.
What was it like when you first met your coworkers? Did they have questions for you, or even with patients? You know, when patients saw you, what was that like? Did they have questions? Do they ask you things? I'm sure you still get it today.
Always. Yeah. Always have questions. And you know what? I could get upset about it and get irritated, but half the time it's the old men who come in and, well, what happened to you?
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah.
The longer I'm there, the longer they know who I am. And I think it's encouraging for them to, for everybody to see somebody who could be at home laying in bed moping out pursuing a career.
Definitely. Yeah. And I can relate to old men kind of being set in their ways, because I've had old men tell me, well, this is the first time I've had a man draw my blood. Usually it's always a lady, right? So they always expect it to be a woman that's going to draw their blood. Yeah. So I get that. But like you said, it's great to educate people. It's great to educate patients. You're teaching me a lot just in this interview and in the last couple of days that we've connected, because I spinal cord injuries, like you said, there's not a lot of people that have them. And there's probably even less people who are able to come back from them and be in the workforce. And that might contribute to why I don't see, healthcare professionals. I've been in this role for 5 years, and I've never come across a health professional like yourself, but I'm sure there's tons of them out there. So you're very active on social media, and you've been able to gain a little bit of a following, and you plan to advocate for people with spinal cord injuries. What plans do you have for that? Do you have people asking you questions? Do you answer them regularly? What goes on with that?
Yeah, I try my best to always reply to people with any questions, especially if they're people who are newly injured, just because that's what helped me the most when I first got hurt. So, I mean, you have so many questions. There's so many things going on in your head. You have this new body that nothing works and doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. So you have a lot of questions, and I'm happy to help anybody who's newly injured, or help, those who don't know much about spinal cord injuries to understand that we're still people. Our legs just don't work or don't work as well as other people's.
And you've mentioned on that post that I was talking about that even your romantic relationships have been greater now than before. So how's your social structure? Are you meeting with people who have spinal cord injury, or do you just make friends, socially like you were before, cousins, relatives? What's that like for you?
You know what? That I think has been the hardest part, especially because I'm not driving yet, and because I live in a state where there's not a whole lot of people. I do have a few friends here in Montana who have spinal cord injuries. But I also have friends who are able-bodied people. So, but lately I haven't had too much social time. Plus COVID has kind of messed everything up. Yeah,
I think for all of us, even if anyone's social group, I haven't seen a lot of my friends in months. Yeah. And just the only other person who I know who has suffered an injury on the job, an interview that I haven't released yet, but it'll be released soon. The last person I just interviewed, my good friend Pete, he was an EMT in San Francisco, and he got injured on the job. He had a back injury, and at the time he was planning to go paramedic, but he can't do that anymore because of his back injury. I'm not sure to what extent he hurt his back, but it was enough that he had to cut ties with his paramedic career, but then found phlebotomy, and I met him, and he's doing great. He's working in a hospital in Santa Cruz. If you guys haven't checked out that interview yet, I'll post it somewhere. But same mindset as you, very positive, very like, I'm going to go get it. I'm still going to do what I want to do. And so just to segue into it, why medical lab technician? What attracts you to the lab? Why does that seem like a good career path for you?
You know what? I had never been interested in that part of the lab before.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to be a trauma nurse, but I mean, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to happen now. So I've always had a interest in microbiology. I've always loved biology. And I thought, well, you know, there's tons of microbiology in the lab,
Yeah.
and they, you know, they make decent money. So I knew that I didn't want to be a phlebotomist long term, just because, you know, if I see 50 patients a day, 25 of them are going to ask me what's wrong with me. And I do get tired of telling my story all day, every day. So I think it'll be nice to kind of stay more back in the lab.
Yeah, definitely. And I tell people that all the time. If you don't know what you want to do, but you know that you want to help people and you know that you want some type of career in healthcare, I always recommend phlebotomy because, you know, we have the unique opportunity of, you know, working with nurses and doctors. You know, you might have nurses come and ask you about what specimens to draw, or, you know, what lab codes to use, or a doctor might call the lab. And so you communicate with them, but then you get to see the medical lab techs and the CLSs back in microbiology or wherever things are processed, hematology, blood bank. Do you have any opportunities to go back there and speak to them?
I do. Our techs and our scientists, they're awesome. I mean, if they see something cool, they'll call us back and be like, hey, look at this, you know, this specimen isn't usually like this, or you don't see this very often. So they're awesome. Our chemist he's a crack up. He's hilarious. I mean, the whole lab is great, honestly. I really enjoy working there.
What's the coolest thing you think you've seen so far, or maybe the grossest? What's something that's been eye-opening in the microbiology lab?
Oh man, all of the poop.
It's all the ovum parasite, and there's so much poop.
Yeah,
There's so
man,
much.
like,
It's
you
everything.
know, shapes, sizes, colors. It's
That's funny.
wow.
I believe you.
Bad someone's pee can actually look. I mean, it's
Have you
sometimes
seen?
I open the drawer and I'm like, ooh, what is that? That doesn't look very good.
Have you seen green pea or orange pea from like medications?
I've seen orange, but I haven't seen green.
You haven't seen green? Yeah, there's a I don't know what the medication is, but it turns pea green. And so,
oh, weird.
Yeah, sometimes I'll have a patient and they're like covering, I don't know if you get this, but like patients will like cover their specimens before they hand it to you.
Yeah.
Like if they don't want you to see it, they're a little embarrassed, which is understandable, but we see hundreds a day, right? And
we're
so
gonna see it anyway.
Yeah, they'll be like, I don't know how to tell you this, but my pee is green from the medication, and then they explain it, and I'm like, it's okay, ma'am. Like, just give me your cup. I'll take care of it for you.
Yeah.
So that doesn't weird you out. The poo, the pee, none of that grosses you out, or you think you can get used to it?
Yeah, it's fine. Hey, you know, when you have a mask on.
Oh, a good point.
Well,
good point.
Yeah, I mean, you can still smell it, but it's not as bad.
That's a great point. So COVID started back before March, but really hit in March. Was that a factor in you making a decision to work in the lab or to work in a healthcare system? Were you worried about COVID at all? No? Okay. And what's the PP that the PPE? What are you using? Is it you have a PAPR or you have an N95 mask?
No, we just have our regular medical masks. I do my medical mask, and then I have like a glittering mask that I put over it just because I feel better with two masks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then of course, you know, our gloves and lab coats, and I personally, I make sure that my wheelchair stays really clean. So I disinfect my wheelchair many times throughout the day, and especially at the end and beginning of my shift.
Yeah. So when you're maneuvering around a patient, right? Let's say, you know, a patient doesn't have a good vein on the right arm, so you have to move on to their left. Do you have to, you know, remove your gloves, sanitize again? Like, does it take you a little while?
Yeah, it does. It takes me a little while. I definitely will change my gloves. Most of the time, I'll try my best to find a good vein before I put my gloves on. You know, just one finger. But yeah, once I get my gloves on and I feel like I'm ready to go, if I'm having issues, I'll take my gloves off, sanitize again once I've gone to the other side, and then put new gloves on.
Awesome. So you like phlebotomy so far. You've been working in it how long now? You said it hasn't been too long, but
Yeah, just like a couple weeks,
That's awesome.
like
That's
2
great.
weeks and 3 days. Yeah, it
Yeah,
hasn't been long.
that's
So
great. So how good of a stick do you think you are? Do you think you're pretty good at poking people, or do you feel like sometimes it's a little rocky?
I'm okay.
You're
I'm
okay?
okay. Yeah, my poor coworkers, I practice on them
Oh, do you?
when they'll
That's
let
fun.
me,
Yeah.
which isn't
That's
very
funny.
often, but
Yeah.
got to get all the practice I can get.
I've had my coworkers draw me, and I think even when I worked at a county hospital before, they used to ask us for blood so that they could calibrate the machines. I don't know if they do
Hmm.
that for you guys there, but sometimes they'll draw your blood and then they'll spit out a report and they'll give it to you, but it's really just to calibrate the machines.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So back to your endeavors of becoming a medical lab tech. What kind of classes are you taking right now? What does that look like for you? How much further do you have to go? Can you give us a summary on that?
So I'm a freshman. I just started school. So right now I'm taking sociology, medical
Okay.
ethics,
Uh-huh.
and then I have like a study and learning strategies class.
Okay.
So I can get those, just so I can have enough credits
Yeah.
to qualify for financial aid.
And so you'll
I
have
didn't want
to
to.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't want to take too many classes to
Mhm.
where I was, burnt out and didn't have enough time to do other things. But I wanted to take enough classes to where it would be worth it, and I could get my financial aid and all
Definitely.
that good stuff.
Do you have to apply? Well, I'm sure you do, but you'll have to eventually apply to a medical lab tech program or an MLT program. Is there one
Mhm.
nearby? What does that look like for you?
It's 3 hours away,
Okay.
so I'll probably just move up there for while I'm going to the classes.
Okay. And when you look into that program, are you only gonna fulfill your prereqs and your general ed, and then you'll be able to apply, or are you going to have to get an associate's? Like, what's your ed plan look like?
Well, right now I can't really decide if I want to get my associates and just be a lab tech, or if I want to get a bachelor's, so I can move a little bit higher up.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really decided yet what I want to do, but for now, since I'm basically starting from the bottom, I'm just aiming for associates.
That's
but
awesome.
We'll see.
Yeah. How up to date is your LinkedIn account? Do you update your LinkedIn often?
It's not. I don't even.
No.
Oh man, I haven't been on LinkedIn in
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah. So I always recommend, and just a little bit of advice if it helps. What I've done, if I'm looking at like a program or a career field I'd like to look into, my LinkedIn's up to date, so I would recommend updating it. Putting your school where you work, and then on LinkedIn you can search like the school that you're going to. So you can, or the school that you want to go to. So you can search that program, or you can search, MLT or the ASCP. Is that what it is? You can look up all that stuff and then find someone who's already done that program, and then they might be able to give you some insight. So
Wow, I didn't know that.
yeah, LinkedIn's a great tool of just, like you would a Facebook, right? But just
Yeah.
professionally. So you can search, medical lab technologists, and you'll find people on there in your area, and you can put like a search area, because like you said, you're in Montana. There's a whole lot of people, but you might find a mentor in that area. I think that's a great tool to use, for anyone out there. Back to your injury and becoming an advocate and advocating for other people. What do you think we should know as healthcare professionals if we come across a patient who's wheelchair bound or has a spinal cord injury? What would you like us to know as healthcare professionals? You being the patient, what would you like us to know?
Boy, that's a tough question. There's a lot of things, and I think a lot of it depends on the person and how severe their disability is. But I think asking questions and asking them in a respectful way, because not everybody wants help, but some people really do want help and don't know how to ask. So just as a patient, instead of assuming that they need help, maybe just ask them.
Definitely.
Do you need help with this? Do you need help with that? I think that a lot of people assume that just because you're in a wheelchair that you need a lot of help, and not everybody does.
Yeah, that I can definitely see that, because like I said, our space is kind of small where I'm at right now, and I've had patients who are in wheelchairs, but they they roll themselves in, they roll themselves out, and so if I see that they're pretty independent and they came in by themselves, I usually won't offer to open the door unless they are having some difficulty opening it. But a lot of times I do have patients who are very well versed in like, getting around, and they're super independent, and they don't really want to bug anyone. They just kind of want to do their thing and go about their day.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you giving that tip. So now as a healthcare professional, if I come across a coworker or a colleague, is it the same thing? Should I ask questions? Should I ask them, hey, what can I do to make this more accessible to you? Or is there anything that I can do to help you be more mobile?
Absolutely. I think that some people are scared to ask because it's such a foreign thing, not people aren't necessarily used to having interactions with people in wheelchairs every day. So yeah, I think I know when my coworkers ask me when I first started working, is there anything I can do? If you can't reach something, let me know. I'm totally happy to help you. That definitely made me feel more welcome and more at home in the lab.
I saw in your story or your highlight story, you had a grabber at one point.
Yep, I still have it.
Do you still use it? Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like I need a grabber sometimes because I don't want to move
I have
anywhere.
a couple of them.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you keep
Yeah,
one
I
at,
do.
Do you keep one at work? Does it help?
No, but you know what? I probably should.
That's funny.
That'd probably make things easier.
Can you imagine if you got so good with the grabber that you were able to draw blood or like change, like, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be interesting?
Oh man, like Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah. I would let you draw my blood with the grabber. I think that would be pretty cool. That'd be a good trick.
Too.
Especially in the COVID time. You're social distancing, so it gives you what, like a foot or two?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, like 3 feet. I mean, those
does it? Oh wow,
they're pretty long. Yeah,
that's pretty good. That's funny. Okay, great. And where do you plan to take your advocacy? Like for, I guess, for people who may have gone through a similar injury, right? And they're kind of feeling down, and they feel like, yeah, I can't do anything in the medical field. What would you say to those people? How would you encourage them?
I mean, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Definitely.
I think that having a spinal cord injury, the most important thing is to stay strong. Because if your upper body isn't strong, if your core isn't strong, if your injury is low enough to have core muscles, it's going to make life a lot harder. I definitely noticed that the stronger I get, the easier it is to get around, the easier it is to draw blood even. Because when I draw blood from a patient, I lock my wheels and I scoot forward in my chair so I can really, get a good view of their arm. I don't want to be drawing blood way back here. So.
Awesome. Do you have a workout plan? Are you working on your upper body? Is that something that you've had to develop? Is there any type of fitness goals that you have as far as that goes?
Keep increasing my weights.
Awesome.
Keep moving on up my reps. Yeah.
And like I was telling you a little bit off the recording, I was going through your story and I saw that female in there who has had a spinal cord injury. She seems like she does a lot of advocacy too. And she looks pretty ripped. And like, just, I was doing my research for this interview, and there's some guys who are like super toned up, pecs, six pack. I had to follow a few people. I had to give them a few likes, because maybe they can teach me a few things, because my muscles are nowhere close.
You know what? Honestly, I always tell people, before I got hurt, I could barely even do one push-up. And now I can do like 25, 30.
Really?
So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And of course they're like girl push-ups because I'm on my knees, so I can't, I can't do a full real push-up.
I can only do 10 girl push-ups, so you're way better than I am. What about clappers? Can you get some? Did you plan to get some clappers?
I don't know.
Like, hey,
I haven't tried. I did some diamonds the other day though.
Diamonds are tough.
Diamonds, but I was dying. I can only do like 5.
Yeah, I don't blame you because I can do like 2. So you're miles ahead of me. That's awesome. So as far as taking this advocacy, is there any ways for you to reach out more, or is any groups that you're able to be a part of? Let's say someone's watching this who has a spinal cord injury, they're newly injured. What recommendations of groups or support would you give them? What are some resources?
Actually, if you have Facebook, there's an awesome Facebook group. I think we're up to like 15,000 members now. It's called Spinal Cord Peer Support USA, and you don't have to be in the USA to join. That's just the name. But that's an awesome place to go. If you have any type of of questions. And then of course, just searching hashtag spinal cord injury on Instagram will lead you to tons of awesome people.
Great. Well, you've given me a lot of information. You've given our viewers great information. Before I let you go here, anyone who's, able-bodied, disability, someone who is looking at the healthcare field or allied health careers like phlebotomy, x-ray tech, etc., and they're kind of on the fence about joining this career, what would you tell them to kind of give them some motivation?
I would tell them to just do it. If you can find somebody who is either, in the healthcare industry, period, or in the field that you want to go to, talk to them, because the healthcare field is intimidating. I mean, I was super nervous to start my job, not only because it's a new job, but because people's lives are at stake. It's an intimidating job, but it's so rewarding and it's so enjoyable, and the people are amazing. And I feel like working for a hospital is a great privilege, because they really do, at least at my hospital, they take great care of their employees.
Awesome.
It's a great career, a great long-term career to have. No matter what happens with the economy, you're always going to have a job if you work in the healthcare industry.
That's great. Do you have, I know you've been working for a short time, but in the time that you've been working, or maybe in school, is there a rewarding moment that sticks out to you that kind of pushes you to continue to go? Like, you've helped a patient, maybe a comment that a patient's made. Is there anything you can look back on?
You know what? I get comments all the time just about how people are happy to see somebody with a disability in healthcare, living the life they want and pursuing their dreams. And I think that's super rewarding.
That's great.
To know that I encourage people, just doing my job.
Yeah. You've definitely motivated me to do more, and to really strive and connect with people on a different level. I really appreciate that. If people want to get a hold of you, do you want to shout out your Instagram? Do you want people to get a hold of you and ask you questions if they have them?
Yeah, definitely. So my Instagram is my name with 3 A's, so it's ALYSSAAA, and then my last name Shelby, SHELBY.
So it's Alyssa Shelby. And yeah, I'll put I'll put your Instagram handle down there. Everyone, if you have questions for Shelby, or Miss Shelby, if you have questions for Alyssa, I was reading your name. If you have questions for Alyssa, whether about phlebotomy in the healthcare field and being an allied health professional, or the injury, I encourage you guys to definitely get a hold of her. But of course, if she doesn't get a hold of you, she's probably drawing someone's blood. She's probably studying. She's probably dealing with some poop in the microbiology lab. Who knows what she's up to? But she's an amazing person from what I can tell. And I hope that we can reconnect. And I hope to do a follow-up with you. Maybe once you get into school, or you've become this seasoned pro and you're managing the lab, something like that. I definitely want to see where you go, because I think there's going to be a great career for you. And I think you have a lot ahead of you. So
absolutely. Thank
you, Alyssa. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you bringing awareness and doing this for us. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Good. Any last comments? Any last remarks? No?
Do your push-ups.
Do your push-ups. I'm going to do my push-ups right after this. Thank you.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you. This is Allied Health Mentors. We talk about allied health professionals, careers, individuals, and we just highlight what we do in this healthcare field. So stay safe, stay happy, and do your push-ups. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Alyssa. Have a good day.